So, honorable members, I propose a question which is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislations on its consideration of the legal notice number 15 of 2021 on the exemption of income tax for Japanese companies, Japanese consultants, and Japanese employees laid on the table of the House on 13th May 2021, pursuant to provisions of Section 13(2) of the Income Tax Act, approves legal notice number 15 of 2021 on exemption from income tax for Japanese companies and Japanese consultants and Japanese employees. Now, members, you make up your mind, those ones who will want to speak on this one and the ones who want to speak on the next, because I will be picking from the list, so then therefore it might disadvantage you by dropping yourself a little lower. So let's start with the leader of majority party. I believe the ones who will be pressing intervention will be actually requesting this particular one. So they may lose on the other one, but still it is okay. This is also an equally important issue.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this report from the committee on the exemption. And really by way of, just to put it on record, that in the first instance, as a country, we already signed up to give these exemptions. So Parliament is only ratifying what was already agreed as a condition of being given the grant. And the logic is very clear, that if the Japanese government is to give Kenya a certain amount as a grant or as a concessional loan, you cannot then also seek to profit from the same grant by taxing the services that are being provided as part of the operationalization of that grant by Japanese companies. Because the grant agreement or the loan agreement will have those provisions that certain services, certain goods will be sourced from Japan. And they will pay their taxes in Japan. And rather than tax here and try to operationalize double taxation agreement, for all donor-funded projects, the standard is we will provide you with money, we will provide you with, some will come in terms of goods, some will come in services by Japanese companies, but they will pay their taxes at home and not here. And the standard is also within the operation, the UN and others. And the other thing I just want to highlight, if you look at the schedule, which is within the report, you'll find again, most of these projects are rollovers of what started, like the Okerias, I believe, started the Mombasa port, July 2017. But some of these are earlier projects that began in 2010, in 2012, even when we didn't even have these legal requirements that tax exemptions must be approved by Parliament, because it was within the powers of the Cabinet Secretary to do the exemption. But now, because of some of the changes that we did, it now requires this matter to come to Parliament. So basically, we are only ratifying what would ordinarily have been done, what was already included in the financing agreement, and the observation by the committee that Kenyan companies doing business in Japan are not getting similar treatment is really comparing apples with oranges, because Kenya is not giving grants or concessional loans to Japan that require that Kenyan companies supplying goods or services in Japan will be exempted. If we did that, then we could ask for reciprocity. And I think that's I just want to have that on record for the Hansard for future generations to know the rationale for doing this and not the reciprocity with the Kenyan companies. And with those remarks, Honorable Speaker, these are self-evident, self-automating issue that we signed up, we received the money, we received the loans, so we must do our bit, which is basically ratifying the conditions of the loan and the grant that we will receive goods and services from Japan without taxing for those services or income earned from them. because that is the only thing that makes sense to the Japanese in giving the loan to Kenya. And I'm sure we'll probably have several other issues coming of other countries. So with those remarks, I beg to support.
Okay, member for Gilgil. I can see this is a matter that we can actually dispense with quickly because I see only one more member interested.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this is just to support my committee in this report. And Mr. Speaker, as has been said by the mover and the second, I will not repeat, but our mandate was really simple, and it was to actually confirm and check whether these agreements and these exemptions, are they in accordance with the Constitution? Are they going against any act of Parliament? Do they infringe on any fundamental rights of the public? And I think, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that we actually had we had several long meetings on it. We tasked the CS Treasury, noting, Mr. Speaker, that even when we are doing what the Leader of Majority is saying is rubber stamping or just forwarding it, that we still represent the people. We had the right to ask the questions that we asked as a committee. We put the CS to task to actually confirm and give us a list of these projects. We confirmed that majority of them were actually not loans, were actually grants. And so the issue of double taxation was easy to actually now understand because they're actually giving us grant to take care of several projects in the country. So we were convinced that the statutory requirements as by the Statutory Instruments Act were followed. We were actually convinced on the issue of public participation, which was an issue that we had raised because we needed to know, to be able to gauge the fundamental rights and the infringement for the public. That is the only way to do it. So I think we are in agreement that we support, and I support the committee, and I support the exemption as has been moved by our chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, seeing that there is actually not a major issue here, nobody else is interested. So we give the mover to reply. Order, members. Order, members. Order. Member for Baraka.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
I had asked members to place it at the intervention. No member had done that, so proceed and reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank my Vice Chairman for ably stating the way it is. I thank the Leader of Majority for actually clarifying that if we want the matter of reciprocity to apply to us, we must pull up our socks, improve our economy, so that we are able to do as Kenyans, give grants to Japan, so that we can be able to ask for reciprocity. And I thank Honorable Martha for supporting the motion. I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I do what is required to be done, which is to put the question. I put the question, which is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislations on its consideration of the legal notice number 15 of 2021 on the exemption from income tax for Japanese companies, Japanese consultants, and Japanese employees, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, May 13, 2021, pursuant to provisions of Section 13(2) of the Income Tax Act, approved the legal notice number 15 of 2021 on exemption from income tax for Japanese companies and Japanese consultants and the Japanese employees. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.